Good afternoon, I'm Vinnie Politan. This is Now in America, and guess what? It's not over yet. After 20 weeks in court, it will be another 27 days before we could see Jodi Arias' face again. What do we expect to happen between now and that pretrial hearing? Could the prosecution take the death penalty off the table? Will the Arias defense team remain intact, or will there be some changes? So many questions going forward. Joining us to help answer all of them, HLN legal correspondent Beth Karras, criminal defense attorney Jason Lamb out in front of the courthouse, and in studio Esther Panitch. Great to have everyone here. Esther, can the defense get out of this? Do you think they'll try? Do you think the judge will let them get out?
I certainly think that they will try. They've already tried twice, and I agree with Jason. The prejudice would have been too great in the midst of the trial for them to get out. Now that there's no rush, Jodi's not going anywhere. There's no chance she's going to walk out of the prison. She's at least sentenced to first-degree murder, at least a 25-year sentence, at the very least. So it's not that she, her sentence is going to expire before her trial comes back. They're going to try again, and frankly, I think the judge may let them off this time. There is enough time, excuse me, for people to get back, for them to a new defense team to catch on and handle the penalty phase. I think what the issue is going to be is how long this penalty phase will take with new counsel and a new jury, because the jury needs to be reminded of the horrific facts.
Reminded they may have to learn them, because maybe they were one of the people who wasn't watching this trial. There's a couple people out there who haven't been watching this, right? Got my guests with me. Let's talk about retrial here, okay, for this penalty phase. Esther Panitch, advantage prosecution or advantage defense?
Advantage defense.
Really?
Yes, because Jodi really blew it on mitigation, and now she has a chance to fix it. So advantage definitely to the defense. Now the defense knows they may interview the jurors who just were excused. They may be able to figure out what it is that turned those jurors off, at least the 8 of them who wanted to convict her and sentence her to death. So I think the advantage is always to the defense if there's a retrial.
I think it's always to the prosecution in the retrial.
That's
Jason Lamb,
disagree.
you got to break the tie here. So you don't think, Esther, you get 12 new people in there and you let them know and you show them those pictures, and you don't have Jodi Arias on the stand for 18 days with all these explanations about things, muddying the waters. She's not going to get up on the stand for 18 days again.
No, I think that was a giant mistake, especially with cross-examination by Juan Martinez. I don't think
she'll do a lame allocution. She's going to do a lame allocution. That's all she's going to do.
If she listens to her lawyers, again, which is a big if, then she's not going to go through that exercise again.
I guess we'll figure this all out in September, who ended up with the advantage. Really interesting how the jury foreman talking about the appearance here. Esther, do you think different results if it was a man murdering a woman in this fashion? Do you think it would be easier for this jury?
I think it's more expected that it's a man assaulting a woman as opposed to a woman being so brutal to a man.
Right, but when it comes to the life or death decision,
we don't, as a whole, as our country, we don't execute pretty people. And we don't generally execute women. So I think that there is this perception, like what the juror talked about, that somebody who is pretty, and Jodi's pretty, even if she's got an ugly soul, it wouldn't be expected that she could commit this type of brutality.
So that ended up helping her?
Absolutely.
Well, Jason, do you think they were basing it on her testimony, her demeanor, or some of the text messages and recordings that were played?
I think they completely discounted all of her testimony. I think they're relying on Travis's voice and Travis's words. And it's not to say that he was an abuser. It's just to say that the effect that it had on Jodi, and that may be a mitigator to some of these jurors. Clearly it was. I mean, 4 of them, not 1 holdout, not 2 holdouts.
But twice as many wanted death. If we're in Florida, she's going to death row.
Not necessarily.
Well, the judge 19 times out of 20 follows the jury recommendation.
Not always. I mean,
not always, but most of the time they do.
That's the beauty of our system, that we don't leave it up to 8 people or a majority. There really needs to be unanimity on this in order to put in the ultimate punishment. And I take a little exception to what Nancy said earlier, that even Charles Manson's jury wouldn't have, or I don't remember exactly what it said, but almost faulting those 4 people that they never would have come back with death. I don't think that's true.
So you think they felt bad for her? Jason, let me ask.
They found that it's, death is reserved for the worst of the worst. There are mass murderers that we do not put to death. And so while this case is horrific and tragic and brutal, it is, and I'm not making light of this, but it is one person. And if we won't put to death mass murderers after jury trials, then it's not that unusual that a jury won't put to death someone.
Not unusual,
split
right? But it's
for
one that can
murder.
clearly go. Deborah on Facebook, do you think it will be hard to come by a truly impartial jury, no matter where the penalty phase is held? Esther?
I think they will come up with a jury. Just because we're all obsessed with this case doesn't mean everybody is. And there are going to be people in Maricopa County who have not formed an opinion as to life or death in this case.
Jen on Facebook, what happens if the venue is moved? Do they keep the same judge, Esther?
Yes, generally, if there's a change of venue, the judge goes with the trial. So I don't see a change in the judge.
Colleen on Facebook, with the outcome yesterday, what is the worst case scenario at this point?
Well, the worst case is that there's a new sentencing phase, and she could be still sentenced to death. It is still
Now, that'd be worst for her.
Right.
But best for prosecutors and Travis Alexander's family.
If that's what they want, which it seems that is what they want.
Great job, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a fantastic weekend. All right.